It is Imbolc, which is the resurgence of spring. Yay! So I thought I'd just do a little video explaining to you about Imbolc, which is the end of January, beginning of February. It's a Celtic tradition. Its blessings come from the Saint Bridget, who they could never put the fires out, Saint Bridget. And often you'll see these Bridget crosses made and woven, but it's really symbolizing the end of winter, the celebration of the snowdrops, the crocuses in the UK coming out, and we are celebrating the resurgence and the return of the light. You know, we obviously have the summer solstice, but actually Imbolc, between the winter solstice and the summer solstice, Imbolc is, you know, things fertility, things coming back to life again. And that's inside us. You know, we need to spring clean. You know, when we say have a spring clean, we need to spring clean our emotional selves and prepare for the new time going forward. So as the light is getting lighter in the Western Hemisphere, here in the UK, I'm near Glastonbury, you know, we have ceremonies and we have meditations that honor this time of year. And this time of year is inside all of us. Many of you know I do past life regression and inner child healing, ancestral timeline healing, always saying all that. And I sing light language. So I might bring you in a little light language for Imbolc. I personally will be in London tomorrow, in Richmond, seeing clients. If you do feel drawn for a one-to-one 2-hour session, I have a couple of vacancies, cancellations that came in. But in general, I'm online to do your emotional Akashic records. What are your emotional Akashic records? Well, they are the emotions that are stored in the subconscious mind that are still affecting you through all timelines of existence. So we put things in boxes to survive our childhood, but we need to thrive now. It's not about surviving, it's about thriving. So when we, with the help of someone else, because it's sometimes quite tricky on our own, with the help of someone who's a skilled therapist, we go back and speak to that inner child, heal that inner child, bring the inner child back into you. We release the emotions that are no longer serving you. We hear the stories of limit and lack that you're maybe holding, that are holding you back from living your highest vibrational self. You know, you keep wondering why you're struggling with fears, phobias, irrational behavior, poverty, lack, you know, you don't get ahead in life. And we find the origin of these stories wherever they lie, and we heal them and release them from your etheric body, your energy body, and your astral body. We're releasing all that, and we're bringing that part of you back to be with you, because if these parts are all shattered all over the place, they're not with you here and now. And then we have other lifetimes where we have core beliefs that are not working for this version of you now. You also have skills and gifts from other lifetimes. People seem to forget about that. When we're doing past life regression, we're sometimes bringing back skills and gifts that you had in past lives into the now, knowledge and wisdom, but we're also releasing fears that you have from other timelines, but they're affecting you now. The same with ancestral stories. You know, when you say your family have a pattern of behaving and doing things, we need to hear the story of the ancestors sometimes and clear that so that you can be in a higher vibrational version of yourself and rise beyond the limiting beliefs. And everybody has something that comes in. I have had a challenging time in the last year or so. You know, many of you know I looked after my parents, and it was driving up and down the motorway. It was a lot of energy, and we see our soul connection to these people. And then although we may have had a difficult time in childhood, we are forgiving them to be present, to heal them and help them in their latter twilight years of their life. And we see our soul connection, like I saw my soul connection to my parents. And remember, you are choosing your parents. You as the child choose them. It's very rare that an adult is conscious enough to bring in a soul or reject a soul. And as you evolve in your consciousness, you'll be able to see the orbs of the babies hanging around you, wanting to come to you, but maybe not as the lady or the gentleman, sometimes what you have is the orb of the baby is coming in for solely the mother or solely the father, or actually sometimes some other key person in that family dynamic coming in for a connection with the siblings sometimes. So once you understand that as you evolve your consciousness, you can clear past lives linked to those souls and say, actually, no, that soul is not for me, and call in a different frequency of soul. But this requires a lot of work. But I'm talking about this because we're talking about Imbolc, and this is the time of year that we're bringing in the fertility, the newness, everything's coming back in again. So you get to spring clean your inner emotional world and release any entities that are attached. A lot of the work that I do is with entities that attach. You don't need to know how to do this. You just need to find myself or somebody else you trust to help you process this and clear this. And that is the gift that keeps giving. And then we connect between lives where we meet our own multidimensional, authentic soul self, who we are through all incarnations, all timelines, the resonance of who you are in the highest vibration of who you be. You know, this amazing radiant soul that you truly are. But then we have lifetimes where things come in that throw us. Like I said, I've had that come in. I'm processing stuff in myself right now because my parents passed away. I didn't have children, and at present I have no partner. So you're kind of like, wow, this is leaving an opening for something else, something I hadn't considered. Many of us who don't have children are here because we're here to help other people evolve consciousness. Maybe we've chosen to come into this incarnation now to be part of the catalyst for the evolution of consciousness of humanity. And we're not going to get so bogged down into the 3D humanity on Earth, as many do who have biological children, because we get enmeshed in their stories. And I know it's very hard to detach yourself from your children and your family to carry on your own soul's journey and do what you came here to do and be the highest vibrational version of you. And as we do that, often, you know, fears and phobias come in about, oh, how can I manifest for myself? You know, should I hold on to this relationship? Because what is the fear if I don't find someone else? I don't know if I could emotionally be on my own. You know, this person might not be the right person, but it's what I've got is better than nothing. Whereas if we trust the higher vibrational version of ourselves, we will evolve our souls, and that is always the gift that keeps giving. But we might be a higher vibrational version of someone, or you might evolve your soul and it might encourage the partner that you have to do some inner work on themselves, and they may become the highest vibrational version of themselves. So this inner work is always the gift that keeps giving. And I like to see clients, I feel sometimes I choose a ley line or an energy grid. So sometimes when I'm working with clients, I am in Glastonbury, I'm in my house in Glastonbury here, but sometimes I'm called to be on different PowerPoints, different earth ley lines. Like tomorrow I'll be in person seeing clients for my 2-hour sessions, and I pick a place that I like in Richmond, London, where the vibration is very high to do this work, because I think you can be in places where the energy is wrong. And so sometimes I'm in my car and I travel to a place and I think this is the right ley line to work with this particular client for what they need. And people maybe wouldn't always understand or know that stuff, but there's so much detail in the work that we're doing to help people evolve. And certain PowerPoints and ley lines and portals will bring in a higher frequency or a different consciousness or something that that person might need. So it's very powerful when we're doing this inner work. Does anybody have a question? I'm just looking for my glasses to put on to read your comments. Wait 1 second, let me grab them, hold on. So let's see if anybody has any questions today. Thanks for joining me. I don't see any question, but do you have experiences of seeing your past lives? Have you just been able to see them organically? You know, I have guided meditations that help you go inside yourself, and you can automatically see past lives, but do you know how to heal them and clear them? Do you know that you don't need to hold on with those images that keep coming up? Or you may have people from other lifetimes that you see in your dream time or in your meditations, and you're not clearing it, not getting through what the real story and the journey is for you of why you're seeing that past life. And remember, like I said, we can bring through skills and gifts from other lifetimes, but we can also be trying to clear a negative lifetime, and it can take us a long time to do that on our own when we don't understand the gravitas of our consciousness and what that means. So thank you for joining me today. I think you might, am I right? You're a Russian lady. Maybe you're a Russian lady or gentleman. I'm so, oh yes, you speak English. No, you don't. That's the other person. So yes, I'm glad that what I'm sharing has relevance in your life. And if you're just passing by and this is your first time understanding about past lives, about understanding about inner child, ancestral, and sometimes we have to let go of the beings that are working with us for a higher vibrational being to come in as well. And we're always looking to heal the cellular memory in our body. We don't want to live with fear, limit, and lack. You know, there's no benefit to fear, limit, and lack. So if you could increase your vibration by doing this inner work on yourselves, and I think there's so much misinformation about that. People saying, oh, you don't need to reincarnate, which is true. You really don't, even though I do past life regression for 25 years. And you can see some of my regressions from the beginning when I worked on television, if you're new to me. Many moons ago, I did this on mainstream terrestrial television in the UK. But you don't need to keep dying to reincarnate, but you can't really get off the reincarnation grid until you expand your consciousness. So you healing your consciousness, not denying your emotions. At times we can feel, you know, angry, sad, lost. It's working through those emotions very quickly as possible. You know, I have been through a lot of loss recently, not just my parents, but you know, I've seen friends pass away, friends be ill. So there's a lot of loss and grief, and you don't ever get rid of grief. You evolve through grief, and grief allows you to expand your consciousness if you choose to do so. Otherwise, you can get stuck in the negativity of it, and that stops you from being the highest vibration of yourself you can be. You know, I've seen people who they struggle to go through their grief, and you know, grief comes and it doesn't leave us, it just mutates and evolves into something more benevolent for us. I think if we give ourselves the grace to go through that process. And you know, when you've been through grief of losing people, you also shouldn't stop talking about them. And if you don't have people too much to talk to about them and your life together with that person, you can just, you know, find other people who are in that situation to share stories with. I think it's very important that we share stories with their friends or people who knew them. But when you're grieving older loved ones, sometimes there aren't so many people around to share those stories with. But I think you shouldn't deny your grief, and you shouldn't hide your grief from people. And yeah, so that's, I think, an important thing to do. And we're often, you know, we've often cared for people, and then we're like, whew, need to recover for a while. And then we come back out into the world. And, you know, the thing is, though, your vibration creates the reality you live in. So if you believe in, you know, your limit and lack, you're going to see limit and lack outside of you. You know, when you turn down the TV, social media, what you're living yourself in your own personal reality is more of the truth. And I know people who, because of their subconscious programming that they're not looking at, they're not addressing, they end up living in a less harmonious, highest frequency of themselves, because they have core beliefs that they can't see any other reality other than the core belief they hold. And so when you tell them things like, you know, your thoughts create your reality, they don't believe it. They get angry and they reject this information, and they also don't see how they speak to themselves. Like, you know, there was a great lady, I think she lived at the beginning of the 1900s. Some of you may have come across her work, and she said her word is her wand. And how we speak, not to other people, but how we speak to ourselves when no one is watching, is really important. And you should speak to yourself with love and grace and kindness, like you're a wonderful person, you're a kind person, you're a beautiful soul, you deserve the best things, you deserve to be respected, you deserve helpful friends in your reality. And I will show you what a friend gave me, and I may not have it necessarily in the best location, but I'm going to show it to you. Many years ago, someone painted that for a friend of mine, and this is helpful friends. Helpful friends. So we're bringing the energy of helpful friends, passing the love around. So something on a feng shui level, you know, you want something like this in your house, but it's about putting it in the right corner. And I've only just got that out recently, and I did feel like I didn't have enough helpful people. We can know a lot of people, you know, can have a lot of acquaintances, we can even have family, but they're quite distant because they don't live near us. But we want to bring helpful people into our reality, and we're passing the love around. So when you have pictures in your house that depict that, you can bring that frequency into your personal life and reality. And if you look at feng shui, I have a friend who's a feng shui expert. I don't progress to be a feng shui expert, but where we put things, so if you put them in the right corner of our house, we can bring flow, movement, change, and helpful people. I think we all want helpful people. And I'm sure most of you listening are a helpful person to other people in the world. But sometimes we feel overwhelmed with our own stuff and we can't be there for so many people, but we need people to be there for us. So in the balance of the world, even though people might not understand your personal reality and what you've gone through, I've certainly been through that, where I understand. Oh, am I back? Am I back? Do you know what it is? I think it was as, oh, am I back? Am I back? Do you know what it is? I think it was as a helpful friend was contacting me, but I think it stops the sound when you're streaming live on your phone. I think it stops someone being able to contact you. Let me just see. Oh, a man saying he has a company called Aura, and the same things are preaching. We are trying to promote our things. You are preaching. We are trying to promote that belief in wellness. Yeah. I mean, wellness is, you know, you can sell products, you can take things for your wellness, but ultimately our emotional inner self, getting our body alkaline, being in a positive state of consciousness is everything. You know, doing the inner work on yourself really is key. People will want to take products and things like that, and that's useful, and people like machines to do things, but ultimately it is you evolving your own consciousness, and no machine can evolve your own consciousness. It is you doing the inner alchemy on yourself with help, but you can evolve on your own by being aware of yourself, identifying, you know, this is a problem just now. I identify a problem in my reality. Therefore, if I can identify a problem in my life, I can make conscious change of it. If I can identify things I don't like in my life, and then I can inquire, where do those come from? Because I seem to have a fear or a limit or a lack around that. Then I can process the core belief of where that comes from, be it past life, inner child, ancestral. So we're going into all that to process all those things to help you go into a higher vibrational version of yourself. And everything on the planet right now is to try to put you in limit and lack and fear in the 3D. And what if the 3D is not the only reality on offer? What if you get to create your own reality by getting your frequency to such a higher frequency state that you become the spellcaster of your reality? And I say that in the most benevolent way, that we are spellcasting our reality with our words, our thoughts, and our actions. And I think the hardest thing is our thoughts, because these negative thought forms flow in. And if you can observe them but not absorb them, the negative little gremlin-y things, but not allow them to become your reality by giving in to them, it's easy to sabotage things. Thank you. I'm back again. Yeah, the sound should be back now. Oh, great. You've written a book. That's great. And comes with crystals. You were just talking about helpful friends. Yes, it's about evolving. Yeah, I was talking about helpful friends. And sometimes, you know, as I've experienced myself, and some of you may have experienced, as we get older, our helpful friends have other priorities. You know, they're not available like they were when we were younger. You know, they have family, and we might not have that. Like my rushing off and caregiving for my parents' days are over. Yes, as many of you know, and I'll keep talking about it till I've cleared it. I have to be clearing my parents' house. I have no siblings to help me. I am doing this on my own, and I have had 3 skips so far. And but I am processing it in the graceful way I can do it. And people give you well-meaning advice for their reality. I find a lot of men say, oh, just get a house clearance company in. But as a spiritual person, I don't feel that that's right for me. I have to go through the belongings. I still haven't seen everything yet. And I will then release them, as I am already doing. I even opened a shop if you're up north in a place called Nantwich near Dagfields. I have a little shop there selling the trinkets out of my parents' house. I sell stuff on Vinted if you want to have a look, Vintage Diary 22. It's my way to rehome my parents' possessions. Don't ever let anybody tell you there is a right way to do it. There isn't a right way. There is the way you find the most graceful and benevolent and honoring of your life with your family. When you get to that situation, and some of you listening will not be in that situation and be like, ooh, that's not what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear about Imbolc. Well, we've been talking about Imbolc, which is this beautiful time of year. This is Imbolc. This is in the Celtic traditions, the beginning of spring. It's the lighter nights are coming, the flowers are coming, and my postman's just arriving now with some letter. There we go. So I'm in London tomorrow. If anything that I said inspires you, I've got a couple of 2-hour sessions left in Richmond later in the day. Look on my website, it's andreafoulkes.com. The link below or above is for my online sessions where we go into the emotional Akashic records of your soul, and I help you weave into clearing them, and I sing light language. And I will just leave you with a light language now. So all just put your hands on your heart. I bring in healing sound frequency light language. So just Narakuya, Saratakiana, Uramakuya, Isaratukuya, Shamakuya, Ilara Tokuya, Kasatokuya. How is that light language for you? You know, sound and frequency open parts of our inner selves and clear the cobwebs out, release things, let things go. You don't need to understand it to appreciate it. I've worked very hard on my throat chakra to be able to sing light language codes and high sophophonic frequencies. That is the gift that's been bestowed on me by doing the inner work on myself. You may do the inner work on yourself and find that gift may be bestowed on you, or may find other gifts, but certainly expanding your consciousness and your gifts and skill set is the gift that keeps giving. So thanks for listening today. Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to those of you I'm going to see in London tomorrow, or those of you I'm going to connect with online. Sorry we had no sound for a bit, but somebody was calling me, so I think that's what happens. The sound goes for a little minute. I hope we haven't missed too much. I hope you could hear the light language. Could you hear the light language? Yeah. Great. Okay. Thanks so much for joining me. If you have questions, it's weird, people never seem to post a question, but if you do have questions, I can do another video again and we can address some questions there. But thanks for staying with me for today. If you love my work, you've been a client, if you want to share your story, that would be grateful to encourage other people to see how healing and empowering it is, seeing our other timelines. And those of you mentioning crystals, I remember coming here from Lemuria with my soul monad and bringing crystals with me to planet Earth. Not in such a physical density in those days, but I remember it. So thanks for joining me. Have a look at all my other videos. If you enjoy them, please do share them. And I send you love from Glastonbury and happy Imbolc today. Much love, many blessings. Bye for now. Bye-bye.